Yeah, we're good. I think we're good at 200, eh? Yeah. Jay Chou's Bedtime Stories. Okay. Who do we have in chat? Sup, LaChao Sal. Welcome to the live stream. Who do we have here? We also have, let me go to DPAL. Who else do we have? Click to pick up the advert. Sup, click to pick up the advert. How are you doing today? I'm glad that this is LaChao Sal's album. It's good to be able to do this today, or their favorite post 2010 Jay Chou album, should I say. I know that the stuff past 2010 was a little bit controversial for some of his fans. We got You Can Hear a More Mature Voice in this album than the last one, which means his songs are going to be on fans' youth memories. Okay, so basically the dealio is that maybe this won't be as nostalgic for people listening to his previous work, which in that case would be fine. I understand that. And finally, we have Blue Dinner Box. Hello. Welcome. Welcome. Sup, shitters. My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to the ESP live streams, where today we're going to be checking out Jay Chou's 14th album. His 14th album, Jay Chou's Bedtime Stories. Now, if we switch over to here, we have it on Spotify. We're going to be listening through all of these 10 tracks today. Now, given that this is, this is meant to be the 9,000 subscriber special, we kind of blew past that a couple of weeks ago, and so here we are now. But yeah, it should be good to listen through these tracks. I have been thinking I'm going to try and treat this like a review, like as per usual. Because if I am going to do album reviews, I want them to actually be done properly, especially if they're in a live format. So, sup Leon, how you doing? Yeah, suddenly starting a stream at 11 a.m., 1 a.m. So sorry about that, friend. I did put a community post on it, but I also realized today that I accidentally set this live stream to private. So no one had any idea that this live stream was on today, because I privated it because I'm a doofus. That was not done purposefully or maliciously. Purposefully would have been actually making sure it wasn't privated. But welcome to everyone who's in this live stream right now. Now, Fan Ching Yang, welcome to you too. Yeah, I'm going to be taking this one seriously as for all the rest of the album live streams, but especially because now that we're focusing more on album reviews for this, yeah. Anyways, Bedtime Stories. We're going to be listening to each of these tracks from start till finish. I should also note before we go into it, we also have lyric translations. I found them for 9 of them. I couldn't find a lyric translation for Let's Go, so if you guys can help me out with that one, that'd be great. Thank you. I did have a look through the old Google to see what I could do, but yeah, let's get started. Let's just start with Bedtime Stories. And yeah, I'm aware that I've already reviewed a couple of these now, but it'd be good to hear more of it. So let's continue. Okay. Can we zoom in a little bit? No, it doesn't matter. It's going to be that size regardless. Incredibly nostalgic with the foley along. Thank you, LaChao Sal. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It means a lot. I'm gonna. What's happening? Not ChatGPT. Why doesn't YouTube allow you to copy the person's name? That's. Thank you for the nation. It's greatly appreciated, and I'm glad to know that you appreciate the reviews. Yeah, thank you very much, LaChao Sal, for that. It's greatly appreciated. Sup, Lenny? How you doing? I mean, seamless transition into this chorus, very catchy with the synth hook. I mean, there's just so much going on with the accompaniment arrangement there, with the mixture of the drums, the bass, the harpsichords, the synth layers, etc. I like the wide variety of ways which we're communicating as well with the lyrics. Like we're going between like some falsetto head voice stuff, the rap sections in a lower range. There's a lot to appreciate, Really strong first track. Bit of vocal modulation as well, that's dope. It's just wild to have so much going on with the different styles. Yeah, I wanna... Where do you even pause it? Man, like there's an absolute attention to detail with not allowing the listener's attention to lapse at any point. We are firmly dedicated to not allowing the listener to get distracted by any shiny objects. Constant movement, new ideas and concepts brought forward within the arrangement. The songwriting's top tier. It's almost getting to the point where it might be a little bit too much in terms of the overall wackiness of the various kind of parts of it, but it still does work. Great string plucks, I like the staccatoed accents there. And the use of the music box at the end is really charming. Yeah, I think this is a really strong opening here. I think that there's a lot of promise from Jay in terms of this track. We're going to look through the lyrics as well. Sup, Jane Clark, how you doing? And Blue Dinner Box says the first song is just full of blast. It is. We're going to talk about that once I have a look through the lyrics. But yeah, we'll do that. So once upon a time, there was an owl. It stood on top of the house. There was a huge forest behind the house. I like the concept of like the sounds that he's describing in here. It's not just telling a story. Ting, ting, ting. What was the sound? I assume there's piano in that point. It invokes imagery. It's very potent. It's going beyond simply telling the listener what to think. It's kind of subtly sort of skewing them towards that. It's kind of visceral. There is a legend someone will bite your little fingers. I assume this is maybe like, did Jay Chou have kids at this point? Was this like an album dedicated to his kids or something, like bedtime stories? Is that it? Is he talking about his ability to tell stories and how like he's very proficient at it? Is there a bit of that swagger there? We're iterating towards the outro chorus. Colorful dreams, we aren't ordinary people. How would the game follow the script? Oh, it's dark, let's turn off the light. 3, 2, 1, join the free soul. It says iteration further on that. Knock, knock, knock on the door. So I think that this initial track, at least from the lyrics and the story being told, is more alluding to the concept of like, oh, you guys have mentioned Leon and advert. Exactly, this album was for his first daughter. Yeah, he got a daughter at that time. So I think it's not just a tribute to his kid. It's also just a reference to how his music is kind of like, it is a story time, and it's a medium like that. And it's also kind of looking at his ability to be able to spin those stories and be really creative and capture the attention of the listener. The track is incredibly chaotic in regards to all the variety of various different styles in it. I can kind of feel what Fan Ching Yang is saying here. This song was a mess for me the first time I heard it. I can kind of feel that. But at the same time, I think that it's nonetheless, it's an acute understanding of the change in the music industry, how there's just, maybe it's a chance for Jay to explore various genres and styles he'd personally taken interest to, like going between the flamenco guitar and the triplet rapping and stuff like that. It might be a comment on some of the more popular genres at that time. There was nice use of vocal chops as well, kind of harkening back to previous albums he did where he sort of messed around with metatune on his vocals and stuff like that. But the use of the harpsichord for that kind of neoclassical feel there was beautiful. Really catchy drum grooves there alongside a bass tone that just kind of filled it in nicely. With a lot of polish as well. The da-da-da-da-da-da-da, that constant, really satisfying synth lead loop on it as a final note was great. So really fantastic start to this. I'll give that a like. I'm really happy with that. I look forward to hearing what we have next, because the next track is Let's Go. Now, again, just a friendly reminder, I don't have lyrics for this. I couldn't find the translation for it. So if you guys can please tell me what you think this next track is about, that'd be great. But I'll put the lyrics in. Oh, it's like cowboy stuff, like country, right? With a really glorious lead on with the octaves. Could you hear how, sorry to interrupt, could you hear how the banjo was in time with his rapping? That was incredible. I think that was incredible. That unison rhythmically was really charming. It's not something you hear often, but it can be really effective, especially with a non-melodic thing like rapped vocals where there's not a lot of color to their lines a lot of the time. It's just clever. Great use of falsetto there to harmonize. Great use of parallel minus there with the harmony. I think this is a return to form for Jay. Granted, it's been a while since he reviewed his previous album, but I think these are very strong tracks. The vocals are nice and varied, showcasing his strengths within his vocal range. The head voice is a lot cleaner than a lot of his earlier discography. And it's just a really charming mixture of those nice octave leads on guitar with the slides and banjo playing, the drum grooves with nice resonance to the individual components there. There's a lot to appreciate with a really catchy hook. It's one of the most creative uses of banjo I've heard in a track outside of the traditional sort of genre, folk and country rhythms. Bringing it down nice. Because there's also this phenomenal amount of diversity, and you know, like the drum fills are solid. Very impressive, those transitions with the 8th notes or 16ths. I love the fact that we're using acoustic here. I think it's very appropriate. Nice use of offbeat 16ths here with the snares as well. What are we going to do differently here, though? Solo section. It comes so easily now. It was the correct decision, compositionally, I feel. Yeah, this is really charming. I love when he goes, woo! He does it in every single album. It's like a calling card. Yeah, no, that was a beautiful track. Yeah, I was thinking, you guys, because we don't have lyrics, I'm just gonna like read through what you guys have mentioned. You guys are like, the second song is a highway song talking about travel and adopted by a traveling company. Cool. La Chow Sal says this song is fun while driving. I used to get really drunk while listening to the song and I had a blast while not driving. Good job. Good job for not drinking driving. Good job. That's awesome. Yeah, I can kind of imagine how this track would be the case. I think that the motif kind of sounds like we're going on a big adventure. And that's really impactful. There's a lot of joy within it. There's very little minor focus within the triads and tonalities of these intervals and various lead sections. The dreamy nature of those slide guitars kind of invokes a sense of wonder and nostalgia that I don't particularly have, but I'm feeling nonetheless. So that's very powerful in regards to it. I think I loved the variety of different drum grooves and fills there. I think the banjo, the unison again between the banjo and then the vocals, as LaCharles pointed out, I think was wonderful. Very, very appropriate for what we had going on. And finally, I thought that Jay's vocals here were absolutely splendid as well. We're obviously comfortable in our vocal range at this point. We're very polished. I just think we're in a really good place here. And I like the sound of it. I would honestly rate this album so far among any of the other better albums I've heard from Jay or the ones I've personally preferred. So I think it's really good. I'm looking forward to the rest of the album now, in part because of my positive experience with the initial bit. If you want to get more information about the song, you can check the MV shot in the USA and he dressed like Indian people. Yeah, that's an interesting angle. I don't know how I feel about the dressing like Indian people bit. Like, was it, not to get all kind of PC on it, was it like a respectful to the Indian thing or was it like an appropriation thing? If we're being genuine. I'm not going to have a bitch and a moan about it, but I'm just asking out of personal curiosity. I'm assuming, knowing Jay's level, I assume it would have been done in a way that was respectful, you know. And there's an argument to be made that even if it wasn't, he's still allowed to do it, I suppose, you know. But anyways, we're moving on with the third track today. Two very, very solid songs in wildly different styles so far. This third track is titled A Little Bit, so let's go. It is one of the most popular ones, the third biggest on the album, according to plays. I'm unsurprised that this is a ballad, given that some of Jay's biggest ones have been ballads. Sup, Kick CY, welcome to the live stream. You haven't missed too much. We're a steady pace, but not speeding through, because I don't feel like it. Nice vibrato there. I love those vibratos on his vocals. I think they're wonderful. It is an indication of the quality of performance he's giving now, that he's able to give that level of how do I describe it? How do I describe it? Like, to get your vocals to flutter like that at such a quiet volume is very difficult. It's like one of Jay's strongest performances in a ballad yet, even at the early stages, and the piano is sensational. Sup, Shin Jay? Welcome. Oh, nice change there. And the use of bell trees there after establishing that harmony is wonderful. We are clearly in our element. Yep, good job. Nice use of bass there. Great use of falsetto there. And a guitar solo after the vibrato. Refreshing use of string staccatos. Okay, alright, let's talk about this one. No, we need to do the lyrics first. I want to I'm excited to hear it, though. I'm excited to learn more about it. I'm very, very positive about this one. Before I go into it, though, Blue Dinner Box says probably better to go with Fuji Kaze's MV, which he did go to India film. Oh, okay. Oh, good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Dinner Box. I appreciate that. I like that the song feels minimalistic. Yeah, I would agree with that. I'll discuss it more in a moment. But yeah, this is the lyrics for this third track. This third track titled, what is the third track titled? Little Bit. So this is Little Bit, number 3. So this is about works are most important as well as seeing friends. It's always more than the time I spend with you. So basically, I think that this track is about someone who is not spending enough time with their partner, potentially. Or I could say anything you left. Oh, so they left because they weren't spending enough time with them. So that explains the ballad format with the romanticism of the subject matter. Holding you tightly but unable to grasp your love, there's just a little left. Oh. Oh no, you wanted to get something to eat or see a movie, but I didn't want to go to the distance, leaving you frustrated and in a huff? Oh no, he forgot the birthday. He forgot the birthday. Like, forgetting the birthday? Damn, dude, that is a rough time. I can't be happy on my own. If we were to see each other, we'd cry, but I would never let you leave my side again. Alright, so let's talk about this one. I think that... I forgot to put lyrics time on that, but I would agree that it's very minimalist. I think that it's a lot of what I wanted from Jay Chou's ballads from his early material condensed into that shorter form factor between the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot. Earlier on into my reviews with Jay Chou with these live streams, I was like, these songs are long, and I'm unsure if we needed all of them within it. And I know that some people were vehemently against that, because they were like, what are you talking about? This music's great. Let the song move slowly. Songs were longer. But the reality is, I mean, I grew up with a lot of what I was, a lot of the music I learnt about was shorter, because 2 to 4 minutes, at least a lot of the Western music I listened to, was the norm. There were longer tracks, but they usually had like multi-parted compositional developments, etc. You know, I would say that this track didn't necessarily hit me like some of Jay Chou's earlier stuff, but I think it's a very polished example of what he is capable of now that he's had those dozen albums under his belt. This is more, I think, of a tribute to his previous works. The story is meaningful, and probably will relate. A lot of people will be able to relate to that, because a lot of people may just not think they have enough time to be with the other person they're with. And so they lose that person because the other person was willing to actually make time for them. As if it's not a lack of resources, but a lack of a desire to use them. I think that relatively compositionally, especially in regards to the previous, in comparison to the previous tracks, the composition was more conservative. I do appreciate the fact there was that guitar solo at the end. It was nice to trade off the vocal lead to another instrument. I think the piano and string parts were impactful, and the drums and bass and stuff were nice. Jay's vocals are fantastic here. They're very precise. Yeah, that's my personal views on it, though. Fan Ching Yang says, in fact, it's my favorite Jay Chou ballad since 2010. That's awesome. I can understand that. I'm glad that La Chao Sal enjoyed the guitar solo. Leon White, this song is very well done from the production sing point of view, but somehow it just didn't resonate within me as much as previous ballads. I feel like at this point he's married and had kids. The sadder songs just don't feel as genuine anymore, if I'm making any sense. Oh, absolutely. There is a band called Twisted Sister. This is related, don't worry, I'm not going on too much of a tangent. The band Twisted Sister, they released a song called We're Not Gonna Take It. And it's about like standing up against the establishment and all that, and kind of fighting against the forces that be and such. And then Dee Snider, who was the vocalist, got interviewed later on after he became successful. And he admitted that it was difficult for people to find stuff for himself, or for people in his genre of music like rock and metal, to find stuff to necessarily be as angry about once they were sitting in a mansion with a pool and stuff like that, simply because they were not in the same space as they were when they started out. A lot of people who write these really emotionally intense tracks are in really emotionally intense situations. So it makes sense that maybe Jay doesn't feel as intimately connected to this as he used to. But that said, I can still appreciate from a musicality perspective the effort put in. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that Jay is in this position, because it would suck if he was married and he wasn't spending time with his wife. You know what I mean? There are many similarities between this song and How Are You from 2011 album, and that's good to hear. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if he was referencing previous works with these tracks, but for now, that was number 3. I can understand why the story made sense. It wasn't my favorite ballad, no, but I still can appreciate the effort put in. We've got Lover of Past Life, which the lyrics were written by A Lang. So that's cool. Let's continue. Interesting use of scratch there. Nice variation between head voice and falsetto, chest voice and falsetto. Okay, so let's talk about what we've had so far. I mean, the rap flow is fantastic, really tight on the mic, but the falsetto, the transitions into that high are just so seamless now. That intro, you guys are saying that the song was written for his daughter. The intro is composed by his daughter. So we've got one person saying for... Oh, his daughter played the piano on phone randomly, but it sounds like a real song. Oh, so his daughter was... Is that the actual phone recording? Oh, that's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing. That makes me very, very happy. That is a phenomenal amount of insight. That changes my opinion on it. It really is the fact that Jay Chou doesn't like shove it in your face that his daughter wrote that it's just a thing that happens. It's a cool, different sound within it. I love that to pieces. I think that's wonderful. 4 months, man. What talent. Great use of pew-pew synths. I'll go back a little bit to let us sort of hear that point going into it, but I just want to give a shout out to the time signature. How often have we had 6/8? 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3? Like, how often have we had a different time signature than 4/4 from Jay Chou and his music? You'd be able to count it on your hands, wouldn't you? It's great that we're experimenting with that, especially for a dance or a waltz rhythm like that. I think it's tremendous. Tremendous. Really great choice here to kind of have that pace, especially with the wistful, dreamlike vocals in the chorus section, which it's really creative. No, I think this is a really special song. It'd be cool to see what we do next, though. It was nice to have a break there. I don't know if it necessarily served the purpose it was intending. I mean, like, great retardando at the end. That's gradual slowdown. Nice use of the decay of the notes at the end to kind of lead it out. A natural finish. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why Jay's daughter wouldn't be able to play the piano well and have some of like Jay's kind of like gifts. And it's also worth noting that Jay, yeah, it's worth knowing that Jay obviously earned his place, but I suppose being the daughter of Jay Chou would afford you some bonuses, like you'd have access to all the best studios, all the best equipment, etc. It'd be dope to be like the son or the daughter of a superstar. He made a joke saying that she's gonna sue him when she grows up. Maybe she will. I think that'd be a bit wild though, but yeah, because I don't know if she's mad about the royalties, but anyways, we got lyrics anyways for this is love from previous, lover of past life, love from previous life. This is League of Legends. Okay. Squirrels accompany walnuts, playing hide and seek in the courtyard. Alchemy smelled of soil out of a story. I closed the book and smell the flowers' fragrance on the grass. You smell more fragrant than the fruits. You are like candy in an angel's hand. What is this song about? I mentioned, I think you guys mentioned that that it was about a song to his daughter before, but oh, so innocence is something I already forgotten. So is he like thanking the daughter for reminding him what innocence is? Is that it? Your smile overflows little by little, which cannot be described word by word. A galaxy in a starry sight. That's actually a beautiful line to describe your daughter with. Yeah, that's gorgeous. I like that a lot. Two hands under the moon rely on each other more and more and more, never, never, never knowing how along, or pray. Oh, there we go. We'll build together our future castle. I will become your knight for your bedtime stories. Ah, nice segue back from the previous track, the first one. I like that. We've got consistency, you know. Consistency there thematically. It's good. What kind of love already exists despite being unsaid? Oh, okay. I get it. Man, there's a lot of storytelling in this. One day I'll be in a pure white hole giving a hand, which I felt so long to another man. Oh, he's talking about her getting married and stuff like that. That's cute. That's cute. All right, what do you got? Oh, hang on. Where'd it go? There you go. Good. We got it, guy. We're all good. Maybe he wants to create a fairy world for his daughter. Yeah, I think that's what this album is. It is a tribute to his daughter. It's creating this fairy tale world because you don't want kids to get like lose their innocence and stuff like that when they're too young. You want them to be able to live and enjoy life and find the beauty in things without having to, before they have to pay taxes and all that kind of stuff, you know, because no one likes taxes. No one likes taxes. Lover from the past life is a phrase in Chinese that's not often used to refer to one's daughter. since you speak English, you're not familiar with this expression. Yeah, to be honest, in English, lover from the past life is like someone you might have loved from like your previous life before you were like summoned back into existence or reborn or reincarnated or something like that. It's lover in English is like someone you want to be intimate with. So it's that the idea of being intimate with your daughter is a very, very not spoken about thing. Not in English. No, exactly. Deaf not from English people will call you a pedo. Exactly. You don't really want to say that you're your daughter's lover. That's very, very weird, and will probably get you on the FBI checklist. I'd assume it's probably, yeah. But again, like, I'm not saying that shouldn't exist because of that. That's just how it translates in English. But moving on, we've got and culture difference is dope. You know, like English has got all sorts of really dumb, awful words that probably don't translate well in other languages, I'm sure. You know, although sofa, a couch, sofa's in all the languages. Sofa is a good word. But Chris Hansen, exactly, Chris Hansen. We've got to get Chris Hansen in here. And Chris Hansen lives in the States. So, like, you know, if I was to say anything weird, he probably couldn't come here unless he wanted to. And we should just move on. Just move on, dude. I'm losing track of where we're at. We're almost at the halfway point. We've got Hero here, Jay Chou. All right? Hero. This is apparently League of Legends. Freud. Freud. Oh, okay. Oh, Sigmund Freud is another thing entirely. Sigmund Freud is another kettle of fish. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Sigmund Freud's work. I think Sigmund Freud was like, yo, every son wants to get back inside their mother's womb. It's very weird stuff. It's very, very uncomfortable, and I don't know why he was like that. But continuing on with track number 5, Hero. All right, I didn't talk about this track. Very, very briefly. Actually, no, I did talk about it as we went through it. This is why I interrupt songs and talk about them as we go through. You know, I think I think that the 4th track, Lover of Past Life, was a beautiful tribute to his daughter. Great to feature that intro motif there. Lovely change of pace with the time signature. Very well composed. I would have liked a little bit extra variety with the way the instruments were layered and stuff like that, but otherwise I'm very happy with it. So Hero. I kind of dig it. I'm going to be a contrarian today. Dude, I love this song. It's awesome. What's of course gonna be like? Dude, it's such a groove. It's such a vibe, man. I love the crowd chants like da-da, boom. Then it's such atmospheric, and then it's like a natural pacing and natural kind of like movement forward. You can nod your head to it easily. The guitars are nice and bright, and I love the distortion on those. The drums are nice and well balanced in comparison to that. They aren't over the top. And the little bit kind of sound, it does sound like you're in an arcade for sure. Kind of sounds like Mortal Kombat movement music from the old school, you know? Oh, by the way, there's no lyrics for this one. You guys might be wondering why I haven't put lyrics on. There's none here. Like, there's nothing down here saying lyrics. So Spotify doesn't have them, so apologies about that. Nice use of halftime, man. It's busy, but it works. It is victory! It is a League of Legends song. At that time, Jay endorsed all, so he just made a song. Good on him! Honestly, like, no hate, man. No hate. Gotta get that bag, quote unquote. Leon Y says, I mean, it's not a terrible song, but the commercial song vibe is in there is strong. People don't like it for that. I feel as if I am personally a contrarian because I tend to like the more, like, I like the telephone song he made for the telephone company in one of his albums. Some of his commercials have been so dope. They've been some of the most fun songs. It's interesting to me, very briefly, that am I to assume that a lot of people that like his ballads, for example, have an issue with the commercials? Because the ballads are the most commercially viable release from Jay Chou. A lot of them have the most listens. So it's interesting to me if that is the case. If people who like the ballads have an issue with Jay making the commercials when making the ballads is the easiest way for Jay to make money in the first place. Yeah, see, I don't know the lyrics, but we're gonna find out. Let's you guys, let's find the yeah, okay, it's already terrible. I'm sorry, these lyrics are pretty cringe. Together we fight, together we thrive. Sup, brother, let's start the kill. Why is it like whenever, like, I feel like the facade, the illusion has been broken now, because I'm reading through these lyrics. Oh no. Oh, Pentakill. It's kind of cool though that he's trying to incorporate the different characters into there, like Jarvan and Katarina and stuff like that, and Nasus. It's cool. Like, they're trying. I think that it's one of those kind of weird situations where maybe not having the lyric. Nah, I mean, like, look, if we take away the fact that it's a commercial and just look at it. Or if we even, like, consider it from the fact that it is a commercial, first of all, the golden line of we can agree to disagree. Very quickly, my point on it, just before you continue. I think it's good that The fact that it's new metal makes it even worse. Look, man, if we're honest, a lot of the new metal in the early 2010s seemed really cool at the time. I mean, I grew up with that as a teenager. I grew up with the new metal stuff. It seemed cool. And then you look back on it in your 20s and 30s, and then, like, it's like, yeah, okay, I get that maybe the anxiety and angst was maybe not as cool as I thought it was back in the day. Tank the turret, backdoor ward so I can teleport. It relates to the lyrics. It's okay to not like or like the lyrics for obvious reasons. You guys don't need me to tell you that it's okay to like what you like and whatever. I think that it's appropriate for the track, so it technically makes sense. I think that the idea of the chug chug guitars with the shred and stuff like that, it's very much going into the very late 2000s, early 2010s angst with some of it. Maybe it's a little bit late style-wise. I feel like at that point, especially a lot of the Western stuff, we were going for like progressive and gent and stuff. But it's still cool though. Yeah. I don't really know how else they would have done it, to be fair. I think if you'd gone too kind of EDM with it, it just would have been even more kind of wild. But look, we'll continue. My thoughts on this track are basically that, for what it is, a League of Legends game, like if I didn't know the lyrics, I would still enjoy it. I can appreciate the performance from Jay there. The vocals in the chorus could have potentially been a bit more present and maybe had a bit more kind of oomph to them. There could have potentially been like more solo sections and lead instruments, but I appreciate the fact that we went for that rock aesthetic there and that we didn't try to be too edgy with it, given that I think that would have maybe been even more off-putting. It is even worse when the lyrics is written by a 40-year-old man. Look, man, as a 32-year-old, I get it. 40 feels old, sounds old. Dude, I get it. There are executives in billion-dollar gaming corporates that they try and figure out what's hip with the kids. And they don't know. And they're like, Jay Chou is popular. Let's get him. I suppose if I was going to look at it from it could be worse situation, maybe we should all be thankful that it wasn't the higher up executives who are in charge of literally making the track. Because I can guarantee you that if you think this is cringe, getting anyone in the executive board to be able to make a track about this game would have just been 10 times worse. But moving on. Yeah, I get it, Leon. I feel you. I feel you. I get it. Yeah, I and to be fair, I think Jay Chou owned gaming. Yeah, he does. I understand it. I think Jay does own a thing. He does own a club or an esports team. So it makes sense. It's cool. People are living to 100 nowadays. I know that 40 sounds like it's old, but when you get there, you'll be like, wow, I guess 60's old. And then 80's old. And then, you won't remember how numbers work beyond at a certain point, so it won't matter. But anyways, moving on. We've got Shouldn't Be featuring May. I liked the fact that you guys, that there was, I liked the banter. It was good. I do still like, I still do like Dragon Fist, though, and My Zone. Thank you, Leon. And sup, Jacob? How you doing? Welcome. We are halfway through this album now. We had a bit of banter about the League of Legends song. This has May in it, as I've probably said 5 times now, because I tend to repeat myself. Let's continue. I like the parallel majors and minors. We have the progressions at the start and finish. I'm looking forward to how they harmonize. Just in case anyone was asking, the studio production is damn near flawless and has been for the half dozen or so albums. It's so satisfying. Probably one of my favorite tracks off this album at this point. Taste it. Because what you've got here are two singers at the top of their game. Regardless of how you feel about Jay's current vocal situation, they're at the top. They don't need to go this hard, but they are. They're just going for bonus points. And they're just on top of the strings with the piano, bass, and drums. It's just such a charming, hugely engaging setup here. Yeah, exactly, Jacob. They nailed the harmonies. I think there's so much... there's so much complexity to it. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of because the chorus is actually good. Oh no. Oh, okay. It's true, it is good, to be fair. Interesting synth, man. It's such a charming major lift there. So satisfying. Oh my goodness, it's so satisfying, dude. Oh, class. Wonderful. And even just the keys with that wistful synth oscillating around the stereo field there. What an absolute banger, dude. That that makes me feel incredibly emotional. That song was absolutely glorious. It's testament to Jay Chou's ability at this point to not only feature other musicians in a way that's constructive. I know what you guys are talking about this. You know, like Ame's vocal abilities is a completely different tier, but I just think that Jay Chou's at a point now, if he wasn't before, and I think he was singing well before, but Jay Chou at this point in his career was able to keep up in a way that was constructive and beneficial to Ame. Ame, phenomenal singer. Jay Chou's vocals, I haven't always liked them. He hasn't always had phenomenal vocal technique, but at this point, they just worked together so well. They had a happy kind of medium, and it was very sad. It was sensational to listen to. Really stoked with this. Jacob says, anyone who says Jay can't sing can feel free to sing this at the karaoke. Oh, yeah, exactly. Oh, he can definitely sing. Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to give a shout out to Ame before we get into lyrics. It's very important when you are singing with someone else, especially if it is their album. It's so important to sing with them because no one likes a singer. Maybe I'm just what's the word? Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but like we don't want to sing too much more than the other person because it just seems like we're making the song about us, especially if it's on someone else's album, you know. But yeah, it's really a class act for sure. But what do we got? Shouldn't be. So this is again with Ame as well, if I understand correctly. I'm pretty sure this is it. Yep, shouldn't be. Cool. So let's figure this out. Got lyric time. Good. Pretending that we are still together, I really can't act it out. I'm still not used to you being here. This identity. So this is again, it's like a traditional ballad. They're talking about the fact the person's gone. They can't come to terms with that. Do you reckon that it has anything to do with the track that we had earlier, the one about the woman being left by the guy leaving the woman behind and she just eventually leaves? Do you think it has anything to do with that? Is there like a connection between the two because the stories are similar, or is it just separate? Is that a kind of an isolated thing? The love in the snowy ground, they say it's below zero. Crystallized promises won't go bad, but the state of being in love won't be forever. It's frozen and exists transparently. Falling lightly, the promised dream melted too fast. Maybe we shouldn't have woken up. The fate has ended, then it shouldn't start all over again. Oh, okay. How do you buy the time that you let slip by? That's a hell of a line. Because that's something you can't purchase, eh? No matter how much. No one can afford to pay for it. Oh, that's wild. Unrelated. They're now doing Samsung watches which look like normal watches. That's very weird to me. It's very weird that we're going back in time to make normal watches when you can just buy normal watches. Stuff's fun, man. Falling lightly, the promised dream melted too fast. Letting go of each other's firmly gripped hand, go embrace more of the future. Alright, so my take on this track is that it's about someone. Well, there's about two people who are lamenting the love that they've lost. You know, they're trying to figure out what went wrong, and when they realize that, eventually they realize that it was just maybe a temporary thing. You know, they're struggling to deal with the emotions of the situation they're in. Basically, it's just them working out the feelings post breakup. That's my take on what this track is about, with an understanding that again, love is temporary, and sometimes it just, no matter how much you try, it's almost melancholic, really. That like there's a sense of almost an eventual indifference there. But you know, but also there's an incredible emotional weight to it. Now, with this track here, I think that it's probably the star of the album, personally, for me. I believe that the connection that Jay Chou and Ame had here was tremendous. They really smashed it out of the park with their chemistry during the performance. Their combination of their lines over top of the piano there was wonderful. I think that the way that it was arranged in regards to the backing elements, including the strings, the piano, bass, and drums, etc., was tremendous. There were little bits of extra lead over top that were stunning as well. And ultimately, with this song, I just don't think there were any weak points. In regards to studio production, it was absolutely on point. No complaints there. I don't think you could really have changed anything to make it better. It's very, very compelling, and I'm proud of the fact that even at a point where Jay doesn't necessarily, because I think one of you guys pointed this out earlier, that Jay Chou could just play video games. With this, a lot of people, in fact, most musicians do not get to be able to record an album. Even less musicians get to record 2, 3, 4, 5, let alone 10. Let alone 14. That's an incredible, stupefying amount of albums. I think that no matter how you feel about Jay as a human being, we should appreciate the fact that for us to consider his work quality, for there to also have been 14 albums worth of it, is tremendous. It's why I have mixed feelings about the fact that people were unhappy with what was going on with the latest album, which we are going to be reviewing later this month. Because for me, when I look at it, I think Jay just could not have released this. Jay did not need to release it. He didn't need to release a 15th album. And I understand that, there are probably some people who felt like they got shortchanged due to the lack of original material and stuff like that. But Jay just doesn't need to do more. He doesn't. And if I'm honest, the state of the music industry has changed so much over the past 10 years since the 7 years since he released this. Post-COVID, with how it affected touring and stuff like that. It's completely different. It's a massive risk to continue to release material even at a commercial level. I'm not saying we should be grateful in that he can release whatever he wants. It just surprised me that people were so polarized with the most recent album. But regardless, we are going to continue. We have track number 7, Turkish Ice Cream, which I think we've reviewed before.
Hello， 我是 DJ 巨炮，接下来为你播放的是舞曲也可以很有音乐性的《Total Down to My Say》。
It's wonderful. I mean, the combination of the percussion, the clapping, the keys, with that really fascinating synth line in the beginning was wonderful. I mean, I think we've listened to this track before. I think I've reviewed it. I think I have reviewed this track before. And it's really well done. It's really clever. It's really clever stuff. I mean, this is incredibly charming tone-wise. mean, like the filtering with the drums, etc. The change from the brightness of the original motif there with the post-production there. It's just, we really don't want to leave the listener in a position where they are hanging on to a concept for too long. I suppose in styles that we are not necessarily allowing the listener to be as familiar in. Oh. I mean, like, I would challenge that. I see Zhang Clark's album here. With this album, I feel like Jay has the same problem as a lot of metal bands, not knowing how to write good choruses, not trying to show off techniques. I want to talk about that real briefly. I would like people in the chat. And you're right, Draw Yan Joe. That's absolutely right. It definitely was. that was sampled in there as well with an ending with a flamenco feel. What is a good chorus? How would you guys quantify what a good chorus is? I would like that. What is a good chorus? And the piano sound wonderful. And a key change. I mean, if we're blunt, did I get the idea of Turkish ice cream from this track here purely from the sound of it? I'm not sure. If we look at the lyrics for Turkish ice cream, hello, I'm DJ Ken, and the next song will play as a dance flair with a melodic flair. Ah. It's good for whacking and good for locking. I'll play you like playing with Turkish ice cream. The rapping in this track was fire. I mean, like, it's on par with a lot of the other stuff. There was a little bit less intensity or angst than I would have necessarily expected, but I think we're going with a cool, calm sort of flair with this. You know. So that the tone of the delivery of the vocals and these rap parts makes sense. You might catch up as if you work hard as me. Yeah, it was calm and collected. Like, Jay Electric Guitar, why is it coming in now? Exactly. Like, what I like about this is that Jay is bringing in instruments that he's announcing, and it's like, this is the thing we're doing now? You know, like, he's encouraging the listener to get more into the accompaniment that maybe we had previously. I always throw in the element of surprise. Who said Chinese style has to come with lanterns? Who says Chinese style means the pentatonic scale? Wow. I'll get out of the car and conduct the traffic of the music scene. Just forget about what style it's called. Oh, so this is why you were talking before. Leon says track 7 was the one Jay was most proud of. It did not gain a lot of popularity, while track 8, which didn't have much depth to it, was a huge hit. And Jay expressed his disappointment in an interview. I completely understand it. This was Jay trying to set a precedent with a style that he was trying to sort of mess with. Do I describe it? It's like I think Jay was trying to go in a new direction with a lot of different ingredients. There were some really jazzy sort of chord progressions on the keys there, which almost sounded like lounge jazz there, with the synth leads being a bit buzzy and kind of feisty and fiery with the rapping there. These are unique, interesting elements to throw in there. Sampling the Turkish march as well, which was a bit spicy. Listen up some half notes with a Latin flair. It's really Jay showing what he's capable of and the finesse that he has, and basically saying he can do whatever he wants. I understand why he might have been disappointed that this didn't get more. I think that it's Turkish ice cream. I think that I get it. I get it. Leon, yeah, track 8 is the weakest song in my album. Guys, say it with me. It is not always the best song which is the most popular. It's not. This isn't me doing a boomer take. This isn't me being a contrarian. So often when you belong to a major label, the labels, especially if not the artist, will be looking at the best way to get the album known by people. That will often be with a track that is maybe not as challenging to listen to. It is something people would like a warm, cozy blanket. What will happen because of the fact that this is on a streaming platform is you'll go onto it and you'll see the track you like, and it'll be there without you having to skip to it, and you'll listen to it. And that'll be it. That is the beauty, the convenience of streaming platforms is why they're so successful. The curse of it is that it means that when you release an album, you have somehow got to convince the listener that the thing they should do is not just hear that one song, but the entirety of it. And that is why I think some songs in here have millions and others have a few mil. You know, he doesn't want his musical talent to be boxed in by the market, but in fact, he is the most commercially successful. Yeah, I mean, I get it. And that's the thing. Like, just what I have been talking about for a long time, and I think this is part of why people got so angry with me with the album number 8 live stream, is that for me, I was disappointed that Jay at that point in his career wasn't more experimental. Now, my fault as a human being is that I tend to want people to do what I want them to do, because I'm a pig-headed piece of garbage sometimes, and up until very, very recently, I haven't realized I needed to change that, because it gets me in trouble with people. Now, Jay is more than welcome to obviously operate the way he has. It's served him well. For me as a reviewer, I selfishly wanted him, and I mean this genuinely by the way, I wanted him to experiment and push the boundaries. I am unsurprised that at this album, he is trying to do so. I am unsurprised that it was unsuccessful, or at least not as successful as he wanted to. There have been many tracks over his previous albums where they have not gotten the amount of play that they have here. I think that this song is a very strong track. I think there's a lot to appreciate with it. I think it's incredibly difficult to be able to make a track like this work with the various components within it. It shows an incredible amount of finesse and a fundamental understanding of composition beyond the basics to the advanced levels to be able to get it to work in the first place. It's very rare to get tracks to work like that, have this much going on within them and still sound coherent, especially with 315. And sorry to hear it, Ing-Chi. To be fair to you, I accidentally set the live stream as a private one, so nobody would have really known unless you're in the Discord or whatever. But yeah, it's here now. You can watch it. It's here. But with all that said and done, you know, it's just how it is, man. People just love their favorites. They love their favorites. They love their safe spaces, and Jay Chou's ballads are safe spaces. And that's it. And I think that I'm looking forward to the 15th album from Jay. To be brutally honest with you, I will be personally I will be disappointed with the next album if there isn't at least one song in it which pushes the boundaries. But then I won't be disappointed because it'll be the first album that Jay has released in like 7 years since this one, and I will get it if he wants to play it more carefully. Jay may, for all I know, Jay may not have, I mean, we're doing hypotheticals right now, which is always a fun and definitely not a redundant thing to do. But there may be a chance that Jay has gotten discouraged by this track within this album and decided to play it safe with all the rest. We're going to find out, because again, we are reviewing Jay Chou's last album, his 2023 one, in 2 weeks' time. I'm glad to hear it, La Chow Sal. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. It's good to know. I have started being I've always been honest with my reviews, but I've been a bit more blunt with musicians I've been reviewing recently, and it hasn't always gone well. But most people seem to be okay with it, which is appreciated. And finally, Droyan Joe says, well, the emo Asian kids like to listen to sad love songs written in 1-6-4-5 chord progression. It works. It works. You know, it works if you do that. The 1-6-4-5 is just, it's so common, but it works. And I don't think it's ever going away, because when record labels figured out there was this little button people could press in your head to make you like a song that'll make them millions of dollars. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you, Zhang. I have to be fair, I have not heard. I've heard mixed. Don't know how I'd feel about it. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out in 2 weeks how I feel about it. And I'm hoping that people will understand that, however I personally see it, that it's not a personal thing for me. If anything, the most personal it'll be is disappointment that we've had such creative, incredible music in the past with such vibrant uniqueness that we haven't at a point where Jay Chou is so safe in his career, made the most of our opportunity to do something just completely different. And it hasn't always worked. With Lulu by Metallica and stuff. To be fair, I haven't listened to Lulu. I really ought to review that album and see if I don't want to blow my eardrums out afterwards. But anyways, we're moving on. Confession Balloon, track number 8. So this is the big one. This is a big one. Has it got a swing feel to it? That's kind of dope. Nice use of Beltry. Nice call of response. Yeah, we'll talk about Lulu soon. Lulu, if I'm not misquoting the name of it, was an album that Lou Reed and Metallica released, and it was almost, people felt very, very strongly about it, almost a similar reaction to Saint Anger. It was their attempt at doing something very different, though. To be fair, so was Saint Anger. In fact, basically, I think that the crux of the story is fans of musicians don't really like it when their favorite musicians do something different, unless all of the stuff is so different that it's unpredictable. This track, though, I get why it's successful. I think that it looks like we might be singing in another language, like Spanish. That's kind of dope if that's the case. It's upbeat, it's cheery, it's low-key, it's polished at the same time. Nice use of DI'd guitar there, piano motif makes sense. There's a sub layer in the left side of the headphones, and I don't know if you'd hear this through speakers. It's a very kind of whispery, kind of whistly lead synth there that's kind of distorted, and it's actually kind of dope. It's actually a really cool texture. I kind of like the sound design within this track. Why have they done this in Spanish? To clarify, I'm not sure why some of this... Just to clarify, I'm not sure why some of this is in Spanish. I'm not sure why. I haven't done that. This isn't anything. Very vibrato on that falsetto. I kind of dig it. I'm not mad about it. I think that the vocal technique is solid. I like the use of like that accordion sound with the guitars and the hook lines. I think that it's charming. It's upbeat. Yeah, it makes sense why. It's less stylistically offensive to people, in my opinion, to those who are more familiar with Jay Chou's ballads and want that kind of consistency with the music there. So fun fact. I kind of speak a bit of Spanish. I know enough to go, like, I give you a rose and something on the moon. I don't want to control you. I don't know how to explain it, but I always love you in my life. My dear, I love you all of the time. I am in love with you. I want you and love you eternally. Yeah, so basically this is about love, right? We're going to dance. We dance to feel alive. Feel it. Feel it. Yeah, I get it. I can understand this. I don't even know if I need the lyrics. I mean, I will. I get why it's a wedding song though, with my limited understanding of what the track is about. Remember, we're gonna go the balloon of confession for lyrics time. River Seine on the left bank, cup in my hand. Oh, is this about the wedding that he had with his his wife Hannah? If I'm not mistaken, Hannah. Lord love, cross the street into the sky with a smile. Champs-Élysées, about a French wedding. I have the world when I have you. Beautiful, man. You say you are hard to please, want to make me say goodbye. One of the Champs-Élysées leaves more than by. Yeah, so this is about getting married, isn't it? Marrying someone, the love of your life, being with them, etc. You know, valuing them and appreciating them and wanting to be, you know, it's about wedding vows, basically, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken, that sounds like a mistranslation. To be fair, it probably is. My Spanish is incredibly rusty, but look, that's basically my interpretation of what it's about. I just don't want to listen to the song over and over again whenever I go, wherever I go. How do you mean? I mean, I get, did this song get played too many times? Like, was it quite overplayed? I mean, I think it's kind of like an earworm. It'll get stuck in your head and it kind of wriggle about and make your life an interesting. I'm going to give that a like, by the way, that previous track, because I think it was well done. I think that it was a very safe conservative composition for Jay Chou. The use of instruments made a lot of sense. I'm still, after 14 albums, not necessarily sure if I like the fact that we cannot seem to decide on a style that we enjoy. I look back to a few of your comment shredders that you've made and talked about like how like the refining the choruses and hooks and stuff like that. I think it's almost like the veracity of the way we've put these tracks together disallows us from really having any spectacularly, truly memorable moments, in the sense that what I mean is, I think when the tracks are well written and well performed and well produced and stuff like that, ironically, it makes it more difficult to really appreciate a track for being truly special. That's going to potentially make people upset, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I think that there are some songs in here which are stand out, like the Ame song. But it's just, if I look at this, there was just something about some of the rough edges in previous Jay Chou tracks where, like, it really did sparkle because of that roughness, if that makes sense, you know? I think it's I don't know. It's a good song in my opinion. It ticks all the boxes in regards to like composition, theory, performance, etc. It just doesn't really resonate with me personally. I suppose maybe because I don't necessarily relate to being married or anything like that. Maybe I can't, but for people who do, maybe that is the case. And I suppose fans of Jay Chou, when he started out, might be married at this point, so they might have a sense of familiarity with it or reject it. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, I can understand why it might have gotten a little bit old if it was repeated. It's a tricky thing, marketing a song. You know, you like it, but you don't want to ruin it for yourself. But regardless, moving on, we have 2 more tracks for today. We're making very, very good time. Usually it takes me a little over 2 hours to review these albums. We're on 1.5 at the moment. Droyan Jones says, Jiz, when your gal says play the song for the next 2 hours when driving, you wouldn't say nah. I mean, like, to be fair, like, I think we'd trade. I'd do, like, an hour of, like, Jay Chou, and then I would do, like, an hour of, like, Opeth or Meshuggah, or something I really liked, and then would eventually come to a midpoint where, like, we'd just play, I don't know, some, like, Linkin Park or something like that. Thank you. I like getting feedback. I think that's a big thing I want to sort of like say. When you guys give me feedback, I actually give a shit. I really care about it. Which is why I tend, especially early on in my reviews, I tended to be a little bit more sort of like defensive, but I'm getting a bit better at being less defensive now. And I'm at the point in my life where, like, if you guys tell me if I'm doing something wrong, I'm probably going to just be like, yeah, okay, I need to work on that. Because, yeah, I think it's important to, like, you know, when you're doing something, and if people are like watching you doing it, just to know whether or not it's good or not. Because if yeah, but yeah. So thank you, I appreciate the feedback. And yeah, just it's good. All right. Again, if I'm doing a terrible job, let me know. Don't troll me with it, but just let me know if there's something I could improve on, and we'll see if we can do that. Okay. As a Jay Chou fan, I would not be cool with my hypothetical girlfriend listening to that song for 2 hours straight in the car. Nah, to be fair, I don't think it would. To be honest, I'd probably throw my girlfriend out of the car if they wanted me to play the song for 2 hours. Any song for 2 hours, you know? I feel like you're in a torture chamber. You don't want to ruin your favorite song. But anyways. We got Now You See Me, track number 9. This is a fun one. Wasn't expecting to go to the triplet flow there, but it's kind of fun. I mean, that was a really cool motif. It was so intense in comparison to what we had before, though. Why don't we get more rises with Jay Chou's work? It's nice to be included. It's nice to have some English in here. Now you see me cause I let it be. Wanna find the key, you gotta follow my beat. Now you see me cause I let it be. Dig it. I dig it. That's cool. I'm still gonna look at the lyrics obviously because there's like a whole lot of extra nuance I'm probably missing, but it's nice to have that. You know, it's cool, man. It's for the movie Now You See Me, in case you couldn't tell from the title. Good to know. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's great to see that Jay Chou is involved in more movies. I don't like that synth, the snaky synth. We're gonna talk about that synth in the little chat after the track. Great rooftop, man. Nice accents on the kicks. Like, there's nice sub-layers here, like the A on the offbeats. It's just a great way of pushing the track forward. It's a great way, and it's not something you necessarily pay attention to unless you're really kind of like sort of divorce yourself from the dominant elements within the arrangement. Great use of the gong there as well. I think like another general comment I want to make as well is that these tracks are a lot shorter than previous albums. Maybe I'm incorrect there, or speaking out of turn, but you know, with the exception of the track with Arme and such like that, we've had like 2 to 4 minute tracks, and I think that's really good. I think that Jay is capable of making compelling, longer form pieces, especially when he does develop those tracks more gradually with the instruments, continue to add points to kind of like really kind of intrigue the listener. I think that it's clever, but you know, like, it's just clever use of time. It's respectful, like, especially because I think even in 2016, the song lengths were starting to get shorter because people were starting to get used to like shorter form content. With a lot of songs nowadays being 1 to 2 minutes, just because that's like what gets you in line with like YouTube Shorts and stuff like that. So it's cool. Now You See Me, the movie, the song from the movie. Illusion is my talent, I'm born with power. Oh, so it's definitely a battle rap, right? I don't give a shit, so save your breath while you are so patient. Damn, dude. Damn, dude, we are swearing in this track. We are using that. If you don't believe me, just check where have the viewers who stood beside you gone. So fantastic. Can't see clearly. You'll lose everything if you defy me. Damn, dude, that's spicy. It's hard as somersault of turtle. You are the king who I can't support. Or else you'd already shake my hand. Make sure what you see is a man or a dog. My illusion fascinates you, see through you. So this is like a more traditional rap track where it's like battle music, you know, like Jay Chou has had enough of whoever he's speaking to, laying down the law, letting them to know that this person is a joke and Jay Chou does not see them as a challenge and that they cannot do anything about it. I think that the intensity of the lyrics is actually heavier than the music. I think they probably I think if it had been straight 4/4, dun 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 dun, if that had just straight 4/4 grooves with the percussion and not had the bounciness of the triplet swings, I think it would have been more severe sounding. But I think they tried to maybe not have it as intimidating with the motif rhythmically, anyways. You know, we there was just one thing I wanted to point out there. Like, the rapping was great. I liked the vocal lines. They weren't as inspired, in my opinion, with the clean parts as previous tracks, but they were still very palatable. My main complaint, if anything, is that there was this one bit with like a kind of a serpentine, like magical snake thing coming out of a little bottle thing. You know, like the snakes, and you go, and then the snake comes out. My issue is that synth for the snake had a resonant frequency in like the 2 to 4 kilohertz range, and it was just a little bit sharp, and I wasn't particularly fond of it. Outside of that, though, the EQing throughout this album in general has been spectacular. I'm very, very stoked with the way things sound in this. It's commercial grade in terms of the production. The track was compelling on that short form factor. Interesting story there. It's nice to get a bit more kind of like aggression from Jay, a different angle than what we've had previously. And that's the Magician movie, I think. You know, you guys are talking about that. I think all Magician's films like to set characters play against to each other with their unique tricks. Well, yeah, of course. Hang on. I'll be right back. Just got to change camera batteries. Because my camera is running out of battery, but luckily I got a spare because I'm organized. Yeah. All right, cool. So I've just got to do something real quick. Is there any weirdness with the way it looks? No, it looks okay. I think we're good. It's just sometimes when I put the battery back in the camera, I can move the camera a little bit and then like the green screen doesn't sort of seg correctly into it. I'm praying that like the green screen is okay. But like it looks okay at the moment. I was so worried when I moved into the new house that like the lighting would just be an absolute abyssal nightmare, but it worked fine. John Cena, the chorus repeats the words lightning. So was John Cena in the movie? I wasn't aware of that, but anyways, thank you for letting me know. So ultimately a very satisfying track. No complaints about that whatsoever. Really stoked with it. Just apart from, again, the synth part that I mentioned there. But everything else was good. Now you see me a heist thriller films, including some light action, humor, and romance elements. Yeah, good to know. I might watch it sometime. Would you guys recommend watching the movie? Would you guys recommend it? Oh, you can't see me for John Cena sometime. Anyway, we're gonna get going with track number 10 anyways. The final track, Failure at Love. A very dismal, negative way to end an album in regards to the title, although it has quite a bit of attention, so let us continue. Doesn't really sound like a negative track, to be fair, or a failure. Magical with the Disney-esque kind of. Oh, we're used to. Do you hear the combination of elements there? The guitar tone with that drum, the bass resonance there is good, man. Really satisfying halfway point. And it resolves to the major. Excellent. That was a stunning chorus. I'm reading what you guys are saying in chat about the chorus, a powerful, emotional chorus melody. It is. It's tremendous. I think part of it is that Jay Chou sounds like, ironically, he is crying out. It's very authentic in regards to the delivery, the performance there. It's wonderful. From the first words in the verse, it's, I don't really... Yeah. To answer Dean Chan here, who would you say is a similar artist from the West to Jay Chou? I don't know. I don't really think you can compare Jay Chou to any Western artist. I can't think of a Western artist who has managed to shape the industry they're in to the extent they have and have that kind of follow through 15 albums. I don't think there are many Western artists at that range off the top of my head. There's a few that have had a few albums, but none quite like Jay. You know. And I would agree about the richness, but just, it's a stunning vocal line, and I think that it's captivating with how he holds those high notes. It's solid. Wonderful. Phenomenal. Great choice there, not finishing like the initial. Great choice for a string solo here. Powerful, man. Is that like the bell? What kind of bell is that though? Is that like a funeral bell or something like that? Is that what that is, a funeral bell? So like saying goodbye to someone for the final time. That gets me emotional just thinking about that topic, that subject matter. It's tremendous. It's a tremendous track. Just before I go into the lyrics, I just want to sort of talk about this. A couple of things. One, Dean Chan says, I always tell people he's like Michael Jackson of Asia. I respect that. I think Michael Jackson was another one of those musicians you can't really compare to anyone else, though, to be fair. Like, Michael Jackson was incredibly unique for so many different reasons. It's not a quality difference, it's just that two completely different individuals, Jay Chou and Michael Jackson. But I get it. In regards to star power, if we're making that comparison, I get it. Also, Jean Clark, I think Bring Me the Horizon is like the middle version of Jay Chou in a way. Definitely. I grew up listening to Bring Me the Horizon. Their early stuff was very different to their most modern stuff. Very different. So I get it for the later stuff from Bring Me the Horizon. I mean, I'm learning Drown at the moment on the drums for my grade 8s, and I think it's a fantastic track. It's a lot closer to this than like their like initial albums, anyways. Yeah. Shenyuda, hello. Welcome to the live stream. Fantastic song. Absolutely. Fantastic song to enter the album, absolutely. Shenyuda, I understand what you're saying there. I think it is a fairly safe vocal performance from Jay Chou, but I would also argue that I think that the tone of performance, at least with this ballad in particular, is very, very effective. It genuinely sounds like he's having difficulty expressing what the words that he's trying to say here, and I think that is something that is very, very beautiful. I think that I need more music from Jay like this. If there was more of it, like if the previous ballads had this level of, I suppose with the Arme one, it kind of came across as well. There was just something very special about the hook. Joy and Jones, yeah, sounds like the bell heard in a horror film. Fair. Yeah, I would say it would probably be the case for sure. Lacho Cell, I'm sorry to hear about your father. I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad that this album is special to you for that reason. You know, the fact that you feel this way obviously shows how much your father meant to you, and it's beautiful that you had a person like them in your life. You know, I can't imagine what that would be like. But yeah, I'm glad that the song means what it does to you. I'm glad you have that connection there with someone special in your life. It's okay, Shenyuda. I'm glad you got sleep. For anyone watching this, if you're not getting enough sleep, please get enough sleep. My live streams will be available on YouTube after you wake up. But nonetheless, before we go into the lyrics, I want to thank all of you for coming along to today's live stream. It means a lot. It took a long time for us to get to 9K subs, but we did it. We're at 11K now. I'm not quite sure how that happened, but we are. So, we're doing it. It's good. But more importantly, I'm just glad we've got to review this album, because I've been wanting to listen to this one for a very long time. We got lyrics now. Lyrics for this track today. Nerd in Love. Christmas, the leftover singles festival. Crossing the road and you snore me again. The winter without you. Yeah, it sounds like Jay was really struggling without this person in their life. It makes me wonder where Jay's source of inspiration came from. Because for me, there have been songs that Jay's written that seem to be about exes. But are they about the same ex, or are they about different ones? I don't know if we'll ever know. I'm just glad that Jay has found someone that he's clearly happy with and has a family now. I think that's beautiful, you know. For him to be in a position where I assume he's happy, to still be able to tap into those feelings of missing that person like that, I think is a wonderful, beautiful thing. It also reminds us of how complicated our humanity is, right? Sealing the mic, only singing what you love. Goodbye, don't cry it all out. People leaves when the song ended, and you left too. I admit I'm a nerd in this love. Tears in my eyes, I can't keep back in. Your smile is beautiful as always. See, I think that this track, lyrics time, this track is about someone who really does miss the person that they love. They couldn't maybe necessarily get across the line in regards to solidifying that relationship, or they basically couldn't get to a point where they were able to keep it going, and they eventually just realized what their life was like without that person, and they realized how much of a nerd they are in love. They don't necessarily feel comfortable with the feelings they have. They miss the person they used to be with, and they realize they've still got a lot of learning to do in regards to love and relationships and all that kind of stuff. That's my take on it. I think that the goodbye don't cry part, it's charming. I think that it's about kind of self-soothing and letting yourself know that just because things are sad, it doesn't necessarily mean that things will be sad forever, but that it's also okay to feel sad, because it is okay to feel sad. It's part of the human experience. You know, we don't need to drown ourselves and like then suffocate ourselves in feeling our own feelings. It's okay to be human and to allow yourself not to be a robot. I think this track will mean a lot for different people, and there'll be lots of different interpretations. I think the ballad format was very appropriate here. I do quite like this one. I like it more than track number 8. I do agree with what some people have been saying about that the textures feel a bit more sort of sincere. I think that there was maybe a little bit too much brightness here. The subject matter in the track 8, the subject matter in track 10 combined with the elements just seemed to fit a bit more nicely, nichely, and stuff like that. And overall, I also think that Jay Chou's vocal performance was solid. But in general, welcome to the conclusion of this album. The conclusion of this album review from Jay Chou, their 2016 album, Bedtime Stories. We reviewed 10 tracks today from it, from Bedtime Stories through to Failure at Love. I think that this album was a combination of a tribute to his daughter, but also was Jay going through a combination of other things, such as still coping with previous relationships, coming to terms with how things maybe passed by, such as failure at love, you know, the difficulties of being in love. But there was also a celebration of maybe the wedding that they had, the love for each other. I think there were also bits where we were talking about how Jay would like Turkish ice cream, how Jay is trying to do something different with music and trying to reinvent himself at this point in his career. So the struggles associated with that. And Now You See Me, which is, even if that is purely for the movie, it's still talking about his own skill as a musician. The traditional sort of like battle music of the rap and stuff like that came through very authentically there. I thought that was great. And then, of course, there was Hero or Legend, where it was more sort of a tribute to League of Legends and stuff like that, but it showcased something that Jay Chou was passionate about, which was, of course, League of Legends gaming. And even though there was a bit of a mixed kind of response from you shredders about that track, I personally could appreciate the effort that went into it, even if the lyrics weren't necessarily a massive positive for me. It made sense with the subject matter. The music in this, well, I mean, Jay's vocals were the icing on the cake. I think that Jay's vocals were the combination of rapped parts, the mid to high range kind of clean parts of the falsetto vibrato there, lovely legato parts there, were basically where Jay... Hey, puss. So here's Nushka. Nushka's come to say hello. Excuse you. Nushka's still around. Hey, yo. What are you doing? You want to sit on my knee? You sit on my... Good girl, what happened? What are you doing? So I got a cat now. I mean, I've had a cat. Nushka's been around since I started doing these reviews. I've had it. She's 9 years old at this point. But yeah, I think that Jay's vocals were on point here. I wasn't necessarily as moved as some of the other tracks I've heard from him. Like, I think Her Eyelashes, like songs like that, as well as there was a song in like Jay's 5th album which really got me, and it really makes me feel quite emotional whenever I listen to it. There are tracks from Jay in the past and previous albums that I have felt more emotionally affected by with his vocal performances. I suppose now, with Jay's vocal technique being on point, I'm less moved or impressed, but just simply because of the fact that I know he's good. So I'm greedy and I'm looking for more. So when I say that the vocals over this album are great and I think they're polished, I mean that in the best possible way. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Leon. I appreciate that. What's that? Thanks. Yes. Nushka is a good cat. Ah. For the narration. Yes. Nushka is a good cat. Yeah, she is a good cat. Nushka is a good cat. She just, yeah, thank you for the donation, Leon. Cheers. Here we go. Thanks. Thanks for the donation. Much appreciated. Yeah, nah, Nushka's a good cat. She's we just got pet insurance, so if she gets into any mischief, we got her covered now. It's a good time. She's a good cat. She's a good cat. What was I talking about? I got distracted by the generous donations. It's yeah. So Jay Chou's vocals are solid at this point. I don't think there's any room for improvement. He's got his own tone that he's comfortable in, and there's really no need for him to sort of push forward more than he already has with it. I think that his collaboration with May was inspired. The vocal harmonies there were absolutely sensational. Yeah, I think that for me, my favorite track off of this was probably the sixth one, which was Shouldn't Be. Although I could also appreciate parts of Failure of Love as well as Turkish Ice Cream. Turkish Ice Cream was a dope track. What else do I want to say? Sup, Peer Tom JL? Welcome to the live stream. It's okay. Don't worry. You can watch the live stream after this version. It'll be on the YouTube channel. I'll probably pin it as a video. What else do I want to say? So we've talked about the vocals and the story, what the album is about. The tracks in general were like between 2 and 4 minute. Yeah. Album. Charles. Album 15 on the 23rd December. Yeah. So we're going to be doing Jay Chou's album 15th on the 23rd of September, which will be great. I'm looking forward to doing that. We'll be getting both the albums done at this point. So that'll be awesome because the 15th album was going to be the 10K subscriber special. So we're going to be doing that since we got to 11K. We went from like 8 or 9 to 11 in the space of a few days, which was just wild. There's just a massive amount of people getting involved. I think that was around the time I was talking about the Jay Chou album review, so I assume that people wanted to sort of subscribe for that. But yeah, so basically that's the next album in 2 weeks' time. Yeah, but the tracks 2 to 4 minutes were nice and short and sweet, with the exception of a few other ones over that, which were nicely structured with very little filler. There was no room for error within this. I think that it was there was lots of different instruments. A few of the personal highlights to me with the synths, bass, guitars, strings, piano, key parts, etc. Oh, thank you. Thanks for your donation. Much appreciated. Thank you, Droy and Joe. I appreciate your donation, my dude. For a super sticker. La Chow Sal says, my favorite tracks are 1 and 4. I think Jay is at its best when he brings out his classical dark side. Absolutely. It's why I wholeheartedly encourage and endorse it. Leon says, hey Logan, I wonder if there's any Jay songs that you actually go back to just listen to after your reviews. Her Eyelashes is one that I would. I also think I'd probably go back and listen to Bedtime Stories in my own time. Potentially the track with May again. Here Shouldn't Be, as well as Turkish Ice Cream. There's a few others. Again, like I want to rank Jay Chou's entire discography at a point before Christmas, especially now that we're not going to be doing the 10K subscriber special in December. So I want to get Jay Chou's album discography done by December. It'll be a big video, but it'll be a bit more sort of like structured than previous ones. It'll be more like a documentary, like a long form essay, I suppose. But yeah, definitely there's a few. I'd have to really think about it though to be able to kind of give a firm answer on that. Dragon Fist, any of Jay's rock ones, his metal tracks are dope. I really enjoy them as well. What else? What else is there? Okay, so we've talked about the track length. A few of the highlights. I think the piano work in this album is exceptional. I especially like the track where we were talking about Jay's daughter, who wrote the intro on the keyboard on the tablet thing. I think it was great to articulate that further and allow that to be a mix, and Jay Chou developed that as the song went on. I thought the keys and some of the ballad parts was great as well. And I also think I should also note that a translation or a movement from that is going to be the synth parts that we had there. I wasn't always a fan of all the synths. There were some that sounded a little bit sharp in the frequency spectrum, but aside from that, most of the synth sounds and pads were great. And I liked especially some of the mistier elements, like his more atmospheric or Foley parts, which were nice and kind of like rounded in that perspective. But in addition to that, there were the drums were another highlight for me. I think there was a lovely variety of different drum grooves and fills in here. We even messed around with some different time signatures, which was kind of dope. I think that was really special. But just the diversity with like the various sort of like 16th and 8th note grooves on the toms there, the hi-hat sort of ride bits going between like, I know again people weren't necessarily a fan of the hero track, but the drumming in there going between like the normal to the halftime kind of breakdown element, which was really special. I thought that was a highlight there. So basically the drums and the percussion and the piano were highlights for me. The guitar parts, there were solos, but I wasn't necessarily as like stoked with those. I did like we had some classical and flamenco components occasionally, but like they were more sort of supporting elements that I didn't necessarily really kind of like find were super duper like enthralling. I appreciated that they were there. One thing I would say is I think the only way we could have necessarily actually improved Failure at Love is I think it would have been sort of bonus points for us to have had guitar in that final bit. I think the final chorus of Failure at Love could have benefited from having additional guitar parts on the side. A little bit of that kind of dusty, kind of like overdriven guitar, a bit of extra sheen that we had on the 8th track could have been transferred to that 10th track to add just a bit of extra heft to that last movement there. I think there are a lot of fun sounds within this with the synth parts, the bass lines. I didn't really notice the bass too much. It was nice and round and kind of like well balanced there, but I'm glad we stayed away from the 808s for the most part. And I think that was important. We didn't need too much kind of blocky bass, sub-bass resonance there. Ultimately, I think most of the tracks sounded like the stories that were being told. I could understand why the tones and textures were there. I think they connected well, and ultimately they were composed well. The structurally, like the tracks had the verse and chorus parts. There were some solo sections which were kind of great. It was nice to have that there, and I liked the fact that we didn't just kind of reiterate too many of the outro hooks for effect. We had one key change which was effective. It was rare, so it stood out more. It was a little bit more special because of that. And like if there was again a longer form track, it's because we had more storytelling to do. So yeah, I think the songs were well written and well composed. And ultimately, yeah, it was a satisfying album to listen to. It felt like apart from the Turkish Ice Cream track, which I think was Jay trying to get out of the box again, and I can understand why he was disappointed by that if that was the case, that he didn't get more traction. It's just where he's at. He's positioned himself in that niche where people love his ballads. And it's still good, though, to see that he's trying to push things a little bit, see what he can get away with. And I hope he does continue to do that in future with future albums, even if the 15th one wasn't necessarily as explorative. But, the motifs in this track, you had the ballads, which were more sort of conservative with the string sections as well. I haven't really talked about the strings because the strings were very kind of like, like they were either plucked or bum, bum, bum. There were some flurries and interesting harmonic sort of like movements there, which were more sort of classically oriented, but ultimately they were very much supportive of the rest of the indicators. There was like a string solo at one point, but it didn't necessarily stand out to me because I think it iterated upon that vocal motif in a way which is very, very sensible. It wasn't revolutionary. It worked. Don't get me wrong, it was good, but it didn't necessarily like reinvent the wheel. But yeah, the motifs were either those, the classic ballad elements there. You alternatively to that, you had some more, the fun tracks with like the Latin flamenco parts or the neoclassical bits. You had some sort of synthy parts. You had some rock tunes there. You had the variety the variety box that we typically have with Jay Chou albums. And it was almost in a nice way. I found it to be predictable in regard to the various styles within this. It's simply Jay giving us more of what has become previously, but in a way where a lot of it was like refreshing, I suppose, by virtue of returning back to our roots in certain situations and taking the strengths of some of our more recent explorations into note with others. Ultimately, the studio road production, mixing and mastering was tight as well. On a final note, commercial grade. There was just one resonant frequency I didn't like. There was a sufficient amount of dynamic range with lots of things around the frequency stereo field. Things were nice and wide in the headphones. So even there's some automation of parts there where things went left to right, which was kind of cool as well. They didn't need to go that hard, but they did. There was things were nicely filtered in the frequency spectrum. For the vast majority of the time, I think the leveling was nice. We didn't have too many instruments occupying similar spaces, so things were easy to sort of discern in the mix. With sub-layering as well due to the dynamic range, the differences between the quiet and loud parts as well were great. And it was still nice and loud without pumping. And basically, this is my review of Jay Chou's album, Jay Chou Bedtime Stories. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via the various social medias and the Spotify page. Stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And just before I go, a final thank you to everyone who came into the stream, and thank you to those of you who have watched through the video up until this point. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, please do. It helps, and we will be doing more album reviews in future, including, for the last time, the 15th Jay Chou album on the 23rd of September. And I'll catch you in the next live stream, Shredders. Spider hands out. You have a good weekend too, Droy and Joe. You have a fantastic weekend. And 3,